Hey everybody, it's Dr. Joe, and today I'm going to show you ways to relieve knee pain. So let's get started.
Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert.
So before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure and click on the subscribe button because it helps grow my channel so I can continue to make videos for everybody. So let's start off. I'm going to start off on the floor. You can do these on a couch or a bed if you have a hard time getting on the floor, but we're just going to stretch out some of the muscles around the knee. And one of the big ones is the hamstring muscles. So I've got a stretch strap here. You can use a belt, you can use a dog leash. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. A dollar jump rope, but just something solid to get you to be able to pull up your leg. So when I'm stretching my hamstrings on the floor, I like to prop up the other side. This just takes some pressure off of my low back area. But some people like to put their leg down. That's fine. You can do that if you want to. The key with the hamstring stretch is make sure you keep your legs straight the whole time. You're using the strap to pull your leg up. So you're not lifting your leg up. You're pulling with the strap to bring your leg up. But the knee needs to stay straight. If it's not straight, if it starts bending like this, then that's probably not it is not good, because then the hamstrings aren't getting a full stretch since they cross that knee joint. So you really want to stretch them out. So even if you have to come back down lower, if this is as far as you can go, that's fine. If you can go up a little bit higher, that's great. But as soon as you feel that knee starting to try to bend, then come back down just a little bit so you can keep it straight. You can also pull your toes a little bit. That'll help stretch out your calf muscles some. But since this is a full stretch, you want to hold it for 30 seconds. So really getting that nice stretch in there and then slowly come back down. When you're stretching, you want to do 3 sets of 30 seconds on each side. I'd usually do each side even if just one side is bothering you if you have time. So the next one is going to be a quad stretch in the front. So I'm going to switch legs just because we're going to roll over on our stomachs, and so that this side is going to be closest to you so you can see it. So you want your strap to hopefully be something long enough that if you flip over, you can bring it around your shoulder like this, because you want to be comfortable. You don't want to have to be reaching back for something shorter, even though you can. You can leave it on your foot, or you can bring it around to your ankle area. So whatever's more comfortable for you. Also, if you're on your tummy, you can put a little pillow underneath your stomach if your back is uncomfortable, but make sure you're lying down so you don't end up messing up your back or making it sore. So you can kind of prop up this way, or all the way down if that's more comfortable. So this time I like to bring it around my shoulder like this so I can just pull, but you want to try and bring that heel as close to your bottom as you comfortably can. But you should be feeling that stretch in that quad in the front area right there. So again, this is a full stretch. You're going to hold it for 30 seconds, come back down, give yourself a little bit of break, and then come back into the stretch like that. So again, it shouldn't be painful. It should just be tension, maybe slightly uncomfortable, but it shouldn't be painful. So 3 times 30 seconds on each side. And then we're going to come back over here, put that strap on the foot again, and then lie back down on our backs. And so this time we're going to do an IT band stretch. So I would bring this leg down this time because you're going to bring it across your body. It's kind of the same as the hamstring stretch. You're coming up, you're keeping that leg straight, but you don't have to come up as high as you comfortably can. Some people get a better stretch if they're lower and go over. Some people get a better stretch if they're a little bit higher and go over. But the key is keep this hip down. So if you need to put your hand on it, that's fine. And then come over into the stretch here. So it's not rolling up. If this is coming up, you're not getting that IT band. So try and keep the pelvis, the hip down, and get that stretch. And you might even feel it down here in the knee. You might feel it up in the hip because it comes all the way down and crosses that knee. That's why it's kind of important to get that one stretched out as well. So again, same thing for the full stretch, 30 seconds, 3 times. So another great way to relieve knee pain is using a TENS EMS or PMS unit. And so a TENS unit just stands for transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. And it's like, whoa, what's that? And that's basically, it's just kind of working the surface nerve. So it's helping to calm down the pain. In theory, it kind of cancels out the pain pathway going to your brain. That's not exactly what happens, but it really is, you'll feel that vibration instead of the pain. So a lot of times if you have maybe weak muscles, that can cause a knee pain, or if you're just having general pain and you want to kind of calm down that knee pain, you can do that as well. So the unit I'm going to use today is the Auvon dual channel TENS massager. And what's really neat about this one is it has 24 different modes. And so you can use one channel with 2 electrodes or 2 channels with 4 electrodes. I'm just going to use 2 today to kind of show you what's going on. But what I really like about this unit is it actually shows you the modes that are the TENS, the modes that are the PMS or the EMS, and then the modes that are the massage. Because sometimes with some units it just has pictures and it doesn't tell you which one it is. So it's nice to actually know which ones you're doing. So when you're using the electrodes, you really want your pain to be in between the electrodes. So if I'm using just 2, like I'm going to, let's say my quad here is really tender and painful. So I'm just going to put maybe one here and then cross it right here. So if my pain is here in the middle, I want that channel to go back and forth. If I had 4, then I would put the other 2 here, so it would be like a cross. You don't really want to put the electrodes on the pain. You want the pain to be in the middle so the current goes back and forth. So then here, if I'm just going to do the TENS, where I just want some pain control, now on this side, I'm going to start putting the intensity in there. Now, if you've never had a TENS unit or an EMS, PMS unit before, sometimes the first thing is a little bit like, ooh, oh my, but it will kind of ramp up and down depending on what mode it's on. So I usually tell people, you don't necessarily have to have a specific one. They'll say, you know, do I need this for this or this for that? You don't. It's for pain control. So it's really just which one feels best for you. Some kind of nicely ramp up and down. Some almost feel like it's tapping you. Some feels like the massages and stuff. If you get a slight contraction really quickly and then it goes away, that's okay. But for a TENS, you don't want that solid contraction the whole time. That would be something more for like the electrical muscle stimulation. So this is also just a nice way to relieve that pain. You can also do exercises with a TENS unit on. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. If you're interested in purchasing the Auvon, you can click on the link up there. So now we're going to go into some exercises that will help with knee pain. One of my favorites, because it's not a big movement, it's an isometric movement, is a quad set. So with a quad set, sometimes people don't use anything underneath their knee, but I like to put a little roll. It can be, this is just a cut up piece of pool noodle. It can be a folded up towel, but it just gives you a little bit of a target. And what you're trying to do is activate this quad muscle, but you're not making a big movement that might be uncomfortable. The key is to keep your heel down. So it's not when you're squeezing, your foot's coming up. You want to keep that heel down, but you want to push that knee into the roll or the towel to activate that quad muscle as much as you can. If you pull up your toes, sometimes that helps, but make sure you're keeping that heel down on the floor. And just hold it for about 3 to 5 seconds and then relax. So if you have some knee pain, if you have an injury, you might not see that contraction, but that's the goal. You're trying to see a contraction in that quad muscle there. So again, 3 to 5 seconds, maybe just start off with 5 to 10 a couple of times a day and slowly work your way up, because you don't want to do too much. Even if it doesn't seem like you're doing a lot, you're really contracting those muscles. So then the next one is going to be a hamstring set. So it's the same idea where you're activating that muscle, but you're not moving it. So it's a nice way to start getting the muscles exercised, but not making a big movement that might be uncomfortable. So this time with your heel, you're basically just pushing your heel into the floor. So that's activating my hamstrings underneath. So what you want to be doing is this, you're pulling it in, but the floor is stopping you. So you're pulling in that way. And sometimes with hamstring muscles, they like to try and cramp up a little bit. So don't really try and do as hard as you can for either one of the isometrics. Just start off with maybe 20 to 30% of all you can activate, and that will just start getting enough to contract it. If you don't have any cramps, then you can start pushing a little bit harder later on. But that 3 to 5 second hold, maybe 5 to 10 a couple times a day. And then finally, if all those feel good, then you can go into something like a bridge, which is moving the knee, getting the hamstrings and the glutes and everything, putting some movement into the strengthening. Bridges are one of my favorite because it works the knee, the hamstring, the glutes, and your lower back. So it's kind of a combination workout. You're just going to prop both knees up, put your feet about hip width apart. It doesn't matter too much, but you don't want your knees to be completely together. And then you're just going to kind of roll your spine up. So almost one segment at a time, but you don't have to stop at each segment. So you're just kind of rolling up, really pushing your knees forward. That's the goal that you're trying to do. And then nice and slow, rolling it back down. So it's not a quick movement. You don't have to sit here and pause at the top. A little hair right there. But you want to hold it just enough to get those muscles activated and then roll back down. So again, with these, just maybe starting off with 5 to 10 and working your way up. Because again, sometimes those hamstrings want to cramp up a little bit. If you want to take the hamstrings a little bit out of it, you can move your feet a little bit closer to your heels. But the goal is to get this high, but if you can only get to about here, that's okay. That's a little bit of a modification. You can slowly work your way up. So if you're interested in purchasing the Auvon dual channel TENS massager, make sure and click on the link up there. And don't forget to subscribe by clicking down there. And remember, be safe, have fun, and I hope you feel better soon.